So they have got a few options. Premier League, they can do it. Champions League, latter stages, Mark Guehi would be a big help.
Well, someone else who's doing very well, ticking along very nicely, Arsenal, top of the Premier League table, top of the Champions League table as well. Are they short in defence? This is the question we're going to ask. Do they need to strengthen? They face Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final tonight, and Ricardo Calafiori, Piero Nkapie James won't be available. Centre-back William Saliba is a doubt as well. Here's a question for you. Arsenal fans watching, they may think this is a silly question, but is there any chance that they get involved in this Guehi conversation in January?
There's a chance, considering that they're interested in Mark Guehi. Mikel Arteta's been quite clear about looking for opportunities in the market. He's always like that. They have a structure, they have a plan. Arsenal don't tend to attack January too often. They look for their business in the summer. They did a lot of business last summer. Unlikely to do anything in January, but if something comes up, like a Mark Guehi situation, where there may be a bit of interest, why wouldn't there be interest? Top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League right now. The question around Arsenal, if you look at the defence, Christian Mosquera's also out as well. Look, they've got plenty of depth in there. We've seen Christian Norgard drop into centre-back. We've seen Declan Rice play right back. You've got Ben White, Duran Timber, who can play along that back line too. I don't see it happening, certainly in January. I think we still wait to see what Mark Guehi's thinking. Does he want to stay? Does he want to go?
But the big difference there is all those names you've just mentioned, and we're talking about Manchester City's list. Actually, Guehi would look at Gabriel and Saliba and go, that's one of the best defensive partnerships in recent Premier League history. I've got a much better chance of playing every week at Manchester City.
It depends what his motivation is. Does he want to compete? We've seen, certainly with the injuries that Arsenal suffered this year, that actually all the defenders have been given opportunities to play. You've also got Nkapie and Calafiori, perhaps now first and second choice left backs.
Yeah.
Saliba, Mosquera, the right centre back, Gabriel, and then one other left centre back. And I must add, Arsenal have done a lot of business incomings. They've got to at some point sell. And they may look at one of those defenders as, OK, we can cash in some value. If we could bring a Mark Guehi in, for example, in the summer on a free transfer, that's an unbelievable bit of business.
Just quickly, you turned your nose up when Nick was asking about Ben White to the Hill Dickinson. Why not?
I didn't turn my nose up. I was briefly explaining on the back of what you just said about Arsenal's injury issues that they wouldn't let Ben White go. Ben White won't want to go in this window.
Why not even on a loan deal?
Because how does that? First of all, it doesn't benefit Arsenal, who need the depth. Defensively, they're competing on four fronts at the moment. For Ben White, yes, he hasn't played much. I think it's only 5 Premier League appearances this season. But he's also part of a team now that, again, is competing to win the Premier League, competing to potentially win the Champions League as well. I think in the summer, the Ben White conversation might ramp up. Because I think in the summer, that might be the time to have that conversation. But this is a player who's been at Arsenal for quite a while as well. So won't happen now in January, but let's revisit in the summer.
Sorry, Nick.
Is what it is. Yeah, another one bites the dust.
Another one bites the dust. Well,
I also think he can get there, but it's, again, we keep alluding to the World Cup year. Does he want to play in Brazil to get into that World Cup squad to impress Carlo Ancelotti? Only he will say if that's on his mind. But yeah, coming from a team, I've had experience of players not wanting to play, more during COVID really. We was in a relegation battle at Bournemouth, and a player decided he didn't want to carry on. Understandably so from his point of view and injuries, but yeah, I think the sooner this situation gets resolved, the better. I think a lot of players will say, if you're here, get on with it, start performing because we need you. If not, they'll want him out as soon as possible to try and get a replacement that wants to come in and help for survival, really.
When you're in that situation, though, as players, how did it feel? How was the morale inside the change room? Because you are in a dogfight, you're fighting for your survival.
Disappointing, because you need your best players. If you're going to win games, you need your best players, and we didn't have it at that time. And Paquetá is clearly one of West Ham's best players, most creative players. And with losing that, you're losing a lot. You're losing a lot of chance to win the games and survive. But ultimately, if he's not performing and he wants to leave and his head's not there, he's not going to do that anyway. So my advice would be get the deal done and try and bring in a replacement as soon as you can.
Let's talk Chelsea, shall we? Because Liam Rosenior has pledged to speak to Raheem Sterling and Axel Disasi about their exile from the Chelsea squad. Nina, what do you make of those two potentially being given another chance? Raheem Sterling hasn't played for Chelsea since 2024. Arsenal loan last season, played 29 times, scored 1 goal against League One Bolton in the League Cup. Disasi didn't have a successful loan spell, did he, at Aston Villa under Unai Emery? Any way back for those two?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite ironic. We're in a transfer window and we're talking about a player like Raheem Sterling, who, when we signed him at the time, we thought he'd be the missing piece to potentially going on for a title charge. Aubameyang was signed at that time as well, so it felt like they were the Premier League kind of missing pieces we needed to boost that attack. And I think it just failed quite miserably. I mean, Sterling, I think he's way past his best days. And of course, we saw him win multiple Premier League titles at City. But I think as soon as we got him, it almost was just a downhill trajectory. I'm not too sure what those conversations will look like with him, to be honest with you. I look at what we've recruited and the young players we've brought in, and you ask yourself, well, where is their improvement going to come from if you're trying to find a way for Sterling